The other day, I made a video about thinking in systems. Instead of just going into a game saying, I'm going to build something, I'm going to design it, it's going to have all of these features, it's going to be great. Now, why would you think in systems? Because if you think of all of these features that you're going to build, you spend all this time building it, and then you decide, hey, the game is not great, or I need to start over. Well, now you have all of these features that you're just going to throw in the garbage. So today I decided, how can I turn a system into something that I can reuse? And I'm going to show you how to do that today. So let's get into it. All right, so what I did here, I'm going to jump right into Unity so you can see it, is I had this system of spawning an enemy, right? And you can see real briefly here in the beginning of this game, I have some enemies spawning right here in front of us. Now, what you'll notice is that these enemies kind of wave in, they start to spawn, then they start to kind of fly towards the user and attack them. Obviously, I died right there, and it's going to reboot so you can kind of see it again. But anyway, there's a spawning system where you have a trigger, the player enters that trigger, and then the enemies spawn toward it. Let me show you a little bit about how that works. So this is the entry spawn point, okay? It has that large kind of collider, that's a trigger. And within that, I have certain spawn points, 3 of them here. A little hard to see in that bottom left corner, but those 3 spawn points are in the gizmos where those enemies are going to come from. Now, this entry spawn point, as you can see on the right-hand side here, it shows all of those 3 points, 1, 2, 3, and it shows 2 enemy prefabs that are going to appear. And you also have some additional things like enemies per wave, total waves, time between waves, etc. So what I did is I said, I'm going to break this down into something that I can export. So I went into my asset folder and I created a new enemy spawning system. And I took the scripts that I had from that enemy spawning system and we recreated them to be a bit more generic here. So you can see we have the enemy prefabs, the spawn points, the waves, all the parameters that would make this work. And then we even have the enemy flying system. So this could be a walking system. At this point, I'm just leaving it as a flying system. So maybe I could use that in the future. It probably would work on the flat ground if you wanted it to. So I have in this folder the spawner, right, that has the points in it. I have the player who up here is tagged as a player. And then I have just an enemy sphere that's tagged as an enemy. So how would I export this into something that I can just export into a new Unity project? Well, let's give it a go. If you go up to Assets in the top left corner and you go Export Package, what you will see is it'll pop up and want to export everything. Now, of course, you want to say, no, I'm not going to export everything. And just select that one folder where you created that system. Okay, so this is called my enemy spawner system. And I'm just going to click Export. Okay. Now we're going to go into a section here. I'm going to put it into to ship. And I'm going to say enemy spawner system. And we're going to save it right there. Okay, so now that system has been saved, it's been exported out of Unity. So I'm going to close out of Unity here, and I'm actually going to open up a new Unity project. Let me close this window, open up our Unity here, Unity Hub. And when I get to Unity Hub, what I'm going to do, if I can share here, is I'm just going to create a new project, okay? New project, this is going to be called Testing My System. Or testing my export rather, okay? Create a project, we're gonna do a 3D universal built-in render pipeline. All right, so now this is going to open up, and the first thing we're going to do, we're going to see just an empty scene, right? I want to make sure that this works on any Unity project with virtually no setup, okay? Now, what we also did too, you'll see that we created a README file, and this README file says, okay, you require the player tags, the enemy tags, you need prefab set up like the player, you need the enemy prefab, you need the spawner area, right? I called it the canyon area in my other game. And there's certain usages and customization that you can do for this. So real simple. So, okay, now we're in a brand new scene. As you can see here in Unity, there's nothing even in here, not even a cube. We're going to go to Assets again. We're going to import package, custom package, and we're going to find that main package there into ship. Okay, enemy spawner system, open. Now that's going to throw this pop up here, and you can import all of them, and then you'll see all of those get tossed right into your asset folder. Now, the asset folder, we have the enemy spawner system. It's as simple as this. I'm going to drag the spawner into my scene. You can see it already has a target or trigger area. And then the player is the one that needs to trigger it, right? So I'm going to trigger or add the player into that scene. Now I'm going to move this player just down a little bit so we can see the enemies kind of attack the player, but we want to make sure, as I mentioned, that it's still inside of that trigger. Otherwise it won't trigger at all, right? So now let's hit play and see what happens. There they go. Now you see those enemies kind of circling the character. If I go into the scene view, you'll see a couple of them coming around here as well. Pretty neat, right? So it's as simple as that. All you need to do if you're going to export some assets or export a system is get it into a folder, make sure it can kind of work by itself, export it from there, throw it into a brand new Unity scene, and see if the system works on its own. Now, I would love to do this for many more systems that we have or that I'd love to build, many more features. I will be considering that as I work on my next game or as I finish this current game that I'm in. And I may even start sharing some of those systems or folders with you guys, with my viewers, so that you can make your games a lot easier. So this was a super fun test to figure out how this works, how these systems can be exported, how they can be put into new games. And I think it's going to be a great way to reuse features so you don't feel like you've lost time if you want to move on from a game that you've already started, or you just have a new idea that you want to work on. So I hope that helped you. I hope it was super informative and exciting for you. Until next time, I will see you tomorrow.